Calvin, correct me if I'm wrong, but this felt like classic Trump. 39 minutes covering loads of different issues, talking about various people in negative tones and kind of outlining why he thinks he should be the next president. It was effectively a campaign speech as much as a press conference.
Well, I don't think I would really call it a press conference, even though it was billed as that, because he didn't take any questions. And as far as a campaign speech, it was lacking what a campaign speech should have. And that's really plans of what he plans to do if he gets reelected. I know he kind of threw in some things about the border, but I think electorally, one of the problems with that is anybody who's on the fence or anybody who's considering voting for him, did they hear anything that wasn't about him and his grievances? And I think electorally, that's not a smart move.
Yeah, but do they really care about that sort of thing? I mean, his base seems to identify on a personal level with him. It's not so much about his policies, it's that they identify and they have a connection with him.
You're correct with that. And I think that's something that Donald Trump needs to realize, that every one of those supporters out there who was protesting for him, all of his supporters, they're going to vote for him no matter what. But he can't win the election with just their support. He has got to win more votes than he won last time. And that includes independents. That includes people who are undecided between him and Biden. And frankly, the grievances and now convictions, I doubt there's an undecided voter who said, oh, he's a convicted felon now, he's the best candidate. And if he doesn't do that, appeal to those independents, his MAGA supporters can't get him into the White House alone.
Although he did point to that Daily Mail poll, that snap poll of 400 people taken online, which appeared to show his approval rating was up 6 points.
Well, I think, one, the Daily Mail poll isn't exactly what I would call scientific. But what I do think it kind of recognizes is that there is a lot of passion for him amongst his supporters. But here's the thing. An angry vote counts the same as a normal vote. So just because his supporters may be angry and more determined, their vote still only counts once. If he doesn't get the votes of people other than his supporters, he won't win.
In the short term, do you think he really will go to jail when sentencing takes place on the 11th of July?
I think that the judge will try to do everything to avoid that, just because he, one, because of the nature of the charges, two, because he is a presidential candidate. But let me tell you, Donald Trump not only spoke against the judge who's considering his sentencing now, which probably isn't legally smart, he also talked about not being sorry for what he did, and remorse is a factor. So legally, he may be digging his own hole, so to speak, and prison may be in the cards, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, and he also spoke in that press conference about non-disclosure agreements at length and what he called the nasty gag order, because he considers the judge to be highly conflicted. And he said that we could talk about it, but he couldn't. Just outline for us very simply why he feels the judge is conflicted.
Well, he feels the judge is conflicted. He feels the justice system is conflicted. He feels America is conflicted when it is not in agreement with Donald Trump. I also think that he made a mistake from a political standpoint to go into the details about the non-disclosure agreements, about the allegations with Stormy Daniels. At one point, he said, everybody has non-disclosure agreements. The reality is most Americans don't have non-disclosure agreements, particularly ones with porn stars. And I think that was a mistake because it focused on what he did, what he's been found guilty of, and not about what he could do as president in a second term.
Yeah, but that is how he connects with voters, at least a significant part of the electorate, isn't it? Saying that my fight is your fight, that what I'm going through is what you're going through.
Yes, and that has been a very effective argument. But once again, I don't think it's going to be an effective argument for enough Americans to make him win the election. Because one of the things people notice about that when he says it, it's always about him. It's never, for example, what the justice system is doing to other people, and he wants to fight that for them. It's all about what they're doing about him.
Yeah, and so in terms of what happens next, and in terms of the timeline, will an appeal? Well, and we know his lawyers are going to appeal. Will that then hold up the sentencing?
I imagine that it would. I don't think we're going to have any resolution really one way or the other, definitely on the appeal, not anytime soon before the election. And with the sentencing, it'll be interesting because that'll be coming just a couple of days, 4 days, I believe, before the Republican National Convention, where they then say we have chosen a convicted felon as our official candidate. I think that it will be on the minds of Republicans, but this train is already on the tracks. I don't see anything other than him being in jail stopping it. And even then, I think they would probably zoom him into the convention.
Yeah, noticeable there's been absolutely nothing from Joe Biden, the White House, all very quiet.
As they should. Now, there's been something from the campaign. I think that campaigner Joe Biden should reference it in that this is a choice election between him and Donald Trump. But as far as the nitty gritty of the legal case, I think Biden should stay out of it. He doesn't want to feed into Trump's without proof accusation that he had anything to do with this legal situation.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Good to get your insight, Calvin. Thank you, Calvin Dark, there, political analyst, joining us from Washington.